This is Ken Pyle, and we're at MTA 2014 with Carissa Swenson of TechTex. And Carissa, you also are on the board of directors of CTC in North Dakota, and I think part of your presentation today on cloud made it unique in the sense that you are a director. And why don't you tell us a little bit about, well, first off, your motivation for, why you ran for and became a director of a cooperative, a telecom cooperative.
Well, it's actually kind of, it's really not that great of a story other than the fact that I replaced somebody who had been on the board for many, many years, and when she moved away, they sent a letter out to all of the members of her exchange. And when I saw the letter and I read the description, I thought, boy, that sounds really interesting, but I have 2 young children at home, I have a full-time job, I was going back to school, finishing a master's at the time, and I thought, that sounds interesting, but I just don't have time for it. So I threw it aside and figured this isn't for me. My husband came home and he read the description. He said, "You should do this." And I said, "Really? I'm going to be gone a lot." He said, "Yes, I know. You should do this." So not sure how to take that, but I thought I'd look into it, and I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. I went and interviewed for the position to fill out a term, and I had to fill out just a few months. And so I interviewed, and the board found out my past with technology and my skills with technology, and they said, we'd love to have you on the board. So I said, I'm willing to try it for 6 months. If I can't juggle it with everything else I have going on in my life, then it's not going to happen. And it has been a challenge to juggle that, especially when I had worked a state job. It was really difficult to balance my time, but it's been the best decision I've ever made. I absolutely love the telecom industry, and being a director has just been a really great experience.
Well, one of the things, and we talked to Rhonda about this about a year and a half ago, a very unique education program where you help the students, you help the community, the teachers as well. They all kind of benefited from this program. Why don't you give us a synopsis of that, and that'll lead into the presentation that you gave today.
Before I started my business, I actually worked for an organization in North Dakota called EduTech, and our job is to provide support and training for K-12 educators and students on how to use technology. And I did that for 5 years, and I loved that job. And North Dakota is very unique in that we were state employees, and our job was to go in and make sure these schools were getting the education they needed. And it's something I would love to see in other states as well. But when I got in the telecom industry as a director, I would go to these meetings, and there was a huge lack of knowledge. Stuff that we've been doing in schools for several years, people hadn't even heard of yet. A lot of the free cloud tools and things that are available, even though our kids have been using them, a lot of their parents and grandparents, they were just born in the wrong year. They didn't have the opportunities like what the kids have today. And so I decided to go out on a limb and walk away from my job that I loved to start my own job to offer technology training. The program that you're referring to was actually modeled after a grant the state of North Dakota got, a broadband adoption grant, where we actually trained local teachers on how to train community members on how to use technology in their lives. And that grant ran out. So I was talking about the program at the board meeting, and the consolidated board member said, can't we just provide that training ourselves without a grant and offer that to our customers to help them become more informed about the product that we're selling to them? We're doing fiber to the home, but a lot of these people don't understand what the internet can do for them. So we've modeled the program as a way to promote the internet, a lot of free tools that are available to them as long as they have internet access. And that's kind of what we've put together and what I'm trying to replicate with other telcos out there.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. And just, today in your presentation, you touched upon so many tools. It could have been a conference in and of itself. And I think it's very important. It's really easy to get into the mode of your providing internet service and forget about all the useful things you can do with it, right?
Absolutely. I performed one of these community classes in our community, and I actually had a gentleman, a husband and wife, farmer couple, and they came in and they said, we saw you were doing fiber to the home in our area, and we got a flyer about it, and we were going to sign up, but we didn't think we could have it because we don't have email addresses. And there's just a disconnect. They really didn't understand. And I said, don't even worry about email. I said, what are you into? What are you interested in? Got to talking to him. He said, the weather and the news is the most important part of his day. I took him to weather.com, and he was sold. He was ready to buy the internet that day because of weather.com. He could see where the radar was. He knew which fields were getting rain, which ones weren't. And I showed his wife some recipe sites. They were ready to buy internet from us and they would have never bought it before. And they said, this isn't very hard. He said, I can do this. I can click on this, and I can type these words in, and it's not nearly as hard and as intimidating as we had been afraid, but we've never had anyone show us. Everyone just takes it for granted. It's not that hard, but no one actually shows them. So what I try to do is actually show them how to do this stuff, not just talk about it, but give them step-by-step instructions and show them why they should care about it.
Well, one of the neat things too is this: you're getting the teachers involved, so they're getting a little bit of a supplemental income, I suppose, on that, right? And then they're also, it's more of this involvement in the community of how, bringing schools, bringing adults who wouldn't be involved in schools together, right?
Right. The schools have a great resource right there. They've got computer labs and they've got computers right there. They also have professional teachers whose job is to break it down and make it easy to understand. So why not use those resources? Teachers are asked all the time to go above and beyond their call of duty, but they're rarely paid for it. So offer them a stipend for some of their time. They come in the evenings using those school computer labs. All of a sudden, folks who don't have kids involved in the school are coming in. They're getting to know them. I've seen some communities actually bring in some honors society students or some of their more advanced students to come in and walk around and help. Well, now all of a sudden they're building relationships with these kids. The kids are building relationships with elderly folks that maybe they wouldn't have built relationships with. And it's a great community building thing to do that really only benefits everybody. There's really no downfall in doing something like this.
No, and that makes a lot of sense. And the important thing too is for people in the other 49 states to realize is North Dakota is starting from a pretty solid base as far as education. K-12 is pretty good, right?
Absolutely. Go to other states. When I worked for the state in K-12, I would go out and say, I live in North Dakota, and there were schools out there saying we haven't got internet yet. And when I talk about we have fiber internet, we have high-speed internet to all of our schools. We have smart boards in almost every classroom. We have iPads in the hands of most of our students. North Dakota education system is so much farther advanced than anyone would guess, and because we've put a really high priority in it, because we need it. We need to have that telecommunications ability when we live in the middle of nowhere. That's how we connect with the world.
Well, Carissa, I really appreciate your time and meeting you.
Thank you very much.